Did your older brothers make sure that the younger brothers were looking pretty neat? Okay. My name is Naima Olubala, and Naima means warm and pleasant and peaceful at heart. Olubala means one who serves.
Moja and Billy Tatu, we're African people.
If there ever was a ministry that's been given to someone, my ministry is to work with children and to help try to promote a strong sense of self so that every child that I meet will be able to stand up, hold their head up proudly and say that I'm an African American. Yes, my ancestors were slaves, but prior to that I had ancestors that were great kings and queens, that did great things, that brought science to the world. Those are the kinds of young people that I want to leave behind. The need for alternative education is clearly based on the fact that we have a multi-ethnic society. We have children of all different backgrounds that need to be taught in the most efficient and effective way possible. Sometimes that effectiveness comes by way of using culture to implement the lesson.
Self-determination for black people now. By any means necessary is my vow. My name is Malcolm X.
All right.
She is completely dedicated to black people, and her vision is one of a liberated race of people, and she connected to that as a vision, and it is what really drives her, and I don't think that will ever change. Okay.
Spirituality is very important to me. I need to know that I can worship, that I can feel strong in my worshiping, and then I can go back and I can deal with whether or not I have enough money to pay all my bills, whether or not I can pay my staff. And I also need to know that I can keep saying to myself, Naima, this is a righteous cause that you're working for. This is something that is deserving. This is good. This is not a bad thing. It's not only just not a bad thing, it's a thing that the angels certainly would bless you for. So you've got to continue to do it no matter how hard it is. And this is where I get the strength to do that, to keep coming back on Monday and feeling fulfilled.
Now I know it's a two-step problem, but I want you to work it out the best way you can. Let's go.
As long as Naima lives, the school will live. And I think in her son Karume, she has really planted the seed so that he will continue her work. The success of Omowale students, I think, is best measured by the fact that they are students who are able to function as healthy individuals in the larger society, which means that they will make a way for themselves, and I think even more importantly, that they have the value of giving back to their community. So it's like you train one, you're really training a cadre of African Americans who will participate in the struggle of our community.
Harambe means let's all pull together. What does it mean again?
Let's all pull together.
One of the things that I always say, I say to my staff, and I remind myself every day, God bless strugglers. And I believe that. So I believe that as we struggle, we're going to be blessed. And that in the end, we're going to provide an educational process that's a good process for more children than we've even touched base.
Omowale Ujamaa, private school in Altadena, California. This school, you guys, is one of the most prominent, impactful places that I've attended in my entire life. It was a school. It was a school. It was a community. It was a phenomenal experience. When I look at my life now and all the roads that have led me to this space, I have to say that it was that school and those people within the school that gave the school structure that have been most impactful in leading me to being capable of offering up my gifts to you today. It would be this school, this tiny little school in Altadena, California, that held maybe at the most 35 students, at the most, while I was there. That would give me a sense of culture that would stay with me my entire life, that I would build upon. This school gave me a sense of self, of community, of pride. Yeah. See, I'm a girl that has come out of people that embedded in me, instilled in me a great sense of culture. I'm a cultural girl. When you see me, you see a person that has tapped into the God within her and that has embraced all of them that have come before her. I am standing tall because of all of those people that have come before me. And it is the knowledge of all of the struggles and all of the greatness of those people that have come before me that give me the ability to persevere through insurmountable challenges. It's not by will. It is off of the love and the legacy of all of those people. Phenomenal people that I am related to by blood. I wanted to come on this beautiful Martin Luther King Day and give you just a backdrop of who I am. That video you saw is a video of a school that I went to, an elementary school, private school in Altadena, California, that my parents sent me to, my brother and I to. Phenomenal school with phenomenal, loving teachers that really cared, that sacrificed so that all those students that attended that school could benefit greatly, so that they could change the trajectory. Even if it were on the half percentile, a half percentile chance that one of those people could come out of that environment and do something to multiply what they experienced in that environment and in their next environments, to pass it on, to help all of us find our way through. That school that I showed the video of is called Omowale Ujamaa Shule. And I went there, I can't remember what grade I was in, but it was between the 3rd and the 5th grade. And when I tell you, it was a vegan school. We ate no meat. We had a strong curriculum based around mathematics and science and world history, not just African history, but deep African history. African history you don't get in standard organized educational systems. We would sit at the feet of people that would travel from various parts of Africa to speak their traditions and their truths and their histories to us and allow us to connect the dots, allow us the opportunity to visualize those environments. We would learn advanced mathematics and sciences and linguistics as a community. We would get disciplined in this place. We knew that if we acted up, if we didn't take care of one another, if one didn't abide by the rules, the collective suffered, or that one would suffer. We would get swats on the hand. It was a beautiful experience. Tremendously beautiful. We will begin each day, y'all, with declarations over ourselves. From the smallest to the oldest, all of us would stand, as you saw in that video, and speak words of positivity, of love, of community. over ourselves and one another. Those words that we would speak over one another or over ourselves, I still recall today, and I find myself, whether in the shower or in my deepest, saddest moments, encouraging myself by speaking those words over me now as an adult. Those experiences that I had at Omowale Ujamaa, I've tucked away in the back of my pocket, and I've taken them on my journey through Oz. And those experiences have given me access to safety, to solace, to peace, to power in my most fearful and trying times. It brings tears to mind when I think about it. Because it's, people don't realize how important the programming is. All of us are living a program, y'all. Whether it's a get money program, whether it's I'm a hustler program and you got your Jordans on and your designer jeans and your gun in your waist and your money in your pocket and your hat on and your jewels. All these things are programs, and all these things are things that you feel you need to have to go along with that program. But what program are you relying on spiritually? You got all the other programs going on. But what program is holding you up, down, whatever you want to call it, spiritually? Omowale Ujamaa was the foundation for my spiritual programming. It introduced me to all of those that came before me in spirit. It did. It tapped me into my ancestors. It tapped me into the culture. I didn't just learn about slavery as I would learn as I would grow older in conventional academia, whether junior high, high school, some college. I didn't learn all the details of slavery in the conventional sense. Surely we talked about slavery and how cruel and malicious it was, but slavery was a dot on a very huge map of our history. I learned about the greatness of all those that have come before me. I saw in my mind the lands that my physical feet have never stepped into. I learned of the regalia of all of those masters, those system builders of the systems that we utilize today. If it weren't for this tiny school in Altadena, I would have never known such mastery was within my own culture. I couldn't have ever have connected the rhythm of it with the realities that we see today. See, when you see the realities of our state today, you don't know your history, you don't connect the rhythm, the spirit of it, to dispel the lie, to give you the confidence in overcoming it or facing it. You, with the truth and with the knowledge, you can face the fear. You can face it. With just a little bit of truth, you can face the fear. But when you are ignorant of it, you don't know. You hide from it. You fear it because you have no answer to it. And this is what Omowale Ujamaa gave me. I don't know what anyone else got from it. I've never met anyone else that went to that school. That's the funny thing about it. I've never in my life came across anyone that went to that school outside of myself and my brother. Yet it was the most phenomenal experience. It was really a great experience. It was a blessing. And that's what brings me to this conversation today. The experience I had in Omowale Ujamaa has led me to be able to come forward and offer up my gifts to you today. Y'all, I've had many paths that I've walked before I came forward doing these Bible studies. And to be perfectly honest with you, like I say, every time I get the opportunity, I have to be very clear and upfront with you. I had no intentions of coming forward to do these Bible studies. I didn't. I've always been a Christian. I've always had faith in God and belief and knowing in my Bible. Yet I got to a place in life where I began to feel like there was something outside of that. I didn't reject it. I would never go forward and say that there was no power in it. I'm much too wise for that. I've studied it and I've lived it. I've relied upon it in the most trying times of my life. So surely I knew there was power in it. But I had gotten to a place in my life, y'all, where I felt extremely powerless. My life had turned upside down. Everything was in shambles. And I was dealing with people that were working within systems that were foreign to me. Spiritual systems that were foreign to me. And I don't know if you've ever experienced anything like that, you know, where you're fighting a ghost and you're dealing with people that understand how to manipulate spiritual energy, and you don't. It's got to be the most helpless feeling in the world. And it was at that time that the door to other possibilities presented itself in my life. And I thought, wow, I'm dealing with all of this rhetoric and all of these forces that are outside and foreign to everything that I've ever experienced. And I've held on to my faith. And here I am, a victim to these people and their manipulations. So being on the receiving side of such, it fascinated me as to how could these things come to be? What is it that they're doing that's able to affect my life in such a way? It's as if God wanted me to see it. I'm here to tell you, there are no lies here. There's no boogeyman. We face stuff here. It's as if God wanted me to see it. And I said, okay, I will find out what that is. And I would go on these journeys and I would find out, journeys meaning I would take action to premeditatively search things out so that I could know. Because faith wasn't enough. These things, that season of my life led me to my knowing. And it's as if God would use people and painful experiences to egg me on to my next leg of the journey. So I went from faith, pure, nice, organized faith, to chaos, wickedness, manipulations, betrayal. Betrayal by people that I never thought that I would be betrayed by. And betrayed by people using the word of God. So I began to look into different spiritual sciences to get to know God greater, to search the hand of God, the various hands of God. Not on an aesthetic level, not on a level of, okay, I just want to know enough so I can continue on, doing what I'm doing. I'm really not that very much interested in it. I just want to know enough to know enough, and then I'll, leave it at that. No, I wanted to know. And in knowing, friend, I stepped into circles that would frighten. And it's as if a bell went off in the spiritual realm. It's like various spirits were notified. It's like they were waiting on me to move in that direction. But nothing could get me to move except for pain and trauma and betrayal. And then more experiences and more experiences. And all these experiences would lead me like the prodigal son into various environments. Not environments that were not unworthy of my gifts. All of them were worthy of my attention and my gifts. And none of the environments did I ever consider myself betraying my love for God. I would find in those environments cousins and aunties and sisters and brothers and grandmothers and great-grandmothers and uncles and grandfathers to those of my original house. I would find commonalities because I paid attention. I paid attention to the house that I came out of, which is the Hebrew house. And I paid attention to the houses that I would go and I would set in for a season or two and observe, never making any pacts or never bowing to any particular entity, just observing. And I would observe and I would see correlations. And I would learn God in a broader sense, friends, than I could ever have learned otherwise. It was the walks, various walks, in respect for my house and in respect for the houses that I entered, that have given me the broad phylactery of experiences that I got right now today. It would be the seasons of peace, of quiet, that would allow me to connect some of the dots. I hadn't gone home. I was still on my journey, but I wasn't standing in any particular house. I'm out in the wilderness and I'm fending for myself and I'm reflecting back on all my journeys. And I'm able to connect the dots and see the correlations. But it wouldn't be until the winds picked up. I can't even call it a storm. It was a strong wind. A very, very, very strong wind that would shake a tree. Everything in the tree would shake that wasn't of the tree. Any bird's nest, any leaves that aren't bound tight to the branch. All that could be shaken and fall will be shaken and fall. And I saw it before it even came. The tree was moving like something alive was in it. Every single branch, every single leaf swaying and billowing in the wind like a rhythmic dance. Yet nothing fell. Nothing fell. And it would be after the wind came and shook the tree that my life would be shaken. When I tell you my life would be shaken, friend. And in this shaking, it would default me back to my first love. It would send me home. I would pack up from the wilderness all that belonged to me, and I would go home. See, that's what happens when things come upon you, real stuff, not playing stuff that you're, we're going to play this game, we're going to act like this, that, and the other. No, when stuff come upon you that seems so real, you head to what truly matters to you. I could have headed back to one of those various houses that I had spent a season in observing. But see, I had spent seasons in them houses observing. And even though while in those houses, they seemed better than my father's house, my mother's house, they were easier. The rules weren't as stringent. They were more fun. Isn't it more fun in environments where the rules aren't as stringent? It's big fun. Yet I knew that winds were blowing in my life. Every branch of the tree, every leaf on the branch, or branches were moving and swaying. I didn't need fun. I needed safety. I needed protection. And while all those houses seemed fun and a good time, relaxed, they couldn't compare to the safety and the protection of the structure of my father and mother's house. I packed up everything and I came back to my first love. My first love that I really never left. I just went on a journey that I will speak to throughout all of my journeys, and I will speak to the difficulties of it, and why is it so difficult, and why do they have to be so strict, and I'm over here and we're having fun over here and we're getting the same response, and we're doing all the same stuff, we're just calling it different names. And just like a child does when they leave home, and they're leaving home like the prodigal son, and he leaves and he's like, my dad is too strict, and my dad's house is too strict, and all of his riches I've wasted, and I've gone out here and I've done this and I've done that. Yet when it begins to matter, when things become real, when it's not all about fun and being relaxed, when you get in those places, you don't mind the strictness and the order of your father and mother's house. In fact, that's the prime reason why you head back, because you know that there's substance in that order. There's protection. There's consistency. And I came back to that which I never left, with more knowing through the experiences that I've had along my journey in Oz. The ability to connect the dots, to be able to see God's hand in various seasons within various people, and to cross-reference to all I know of my father and my mother's house, and to be able to offer it to all of those souls that have gone on journeys like myself for the same reasons, out of love for God, out of wanting to know on a deeper level the God of our house. And here I am able to offer you tremendous experiences, bankable ones, through experience. In a way that there are not many that can, all because of those same experiences. Many of you are on your journeys as well. That's why I did the video. You're on your journeys and you're walking around and you're taking note and you're leaning in and you're comparing. Continue to. All these things are worthy. It is through your experiences that you get a testimony or testimonies. And your testimonies are necessary because you can then offer them up in your season when ripe to someone else to be useful to them in their lives. On this day, Martin Luther King's holiday, we look at a man that didn't wait till he became perfect. He didn't wait. He didn't have the luxury of waiting until he was ready to come forward to offer up his gifts. He offered his gifts like many of us that God puts us in the position to offer them. He offered them because it was necessary. Because the time demanded him to do that. The season commanded him to do such. And he used what he had at the time, and God made up the difference. Many of us complain about not having it together and not this and not that. I can understand. We're all bound to the emotions and ideologies and things of that nature of our lives. Yet, there'll never be a perfect time. God will create a sequence of events to force you to come forward in offering your gifts, friend. Regardless to what's going on. Regardless to if you think they're worthy or not. Regardless to if you had in mind that way of offering them or not. You are the avatar. I know we can look at this life as if it's our right to do things the way that we wish to do them because we've been sold on that concept. But that is not true. You are the avatar, the vessel in which the Spirit of God is housed. When God moves in your life, you will move. You will move. Whether you believe it's you or you believe it's God. That's the phenomenal thing with God, friend. You won't even know it's God moving. You'll think it's all you. Be useful. All of your experiences count. I don't care if you were a prostitute. I don't care if you were a drug addict. I don't care if you sold drugs to people. I don't care if you've stolen from people. I don't care what your experiences are in life that you see yourself unworthy because of. There's a testimony in you. Somebody needs to hear what you have to say. And most likely, you've gotten much done, even though people have had their judgments. So you're used to that. Get up, dust yourself off, and begin to offer your gifts in the form of upliftment, in the form of truth to someone else. regardless of what anybody has to say. Since when has anyone not had something to say, friend? Those same people, when you offer your gifts up and you continue to do so, will be thankful that you did. You love more than you'll ever know. Be good to yourselves and be good to each other. Happy Martin Luther King Day. Peace and love.